A small-town Arizona boy spots danger before anyone else. "Wait, don't start your bikes," he shouts at the Hells Angels, and what they discover shocks everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Tell us, where are you watching from? Let's get started. It was a bright Saturday morning in small-town Arizona, and the sun glinted off the chrome of motorcycles lined up along Main Street. The rumble of engines had already started to echo through the streets as the Hells Angels, a notorious biker gang known across the country, prepared for their weekly ride. Locals were used to the sight of leather jackets, tattoos, and roaring motorcycles, but today something unusual was about to happen. 8-year-old Jamie Parker, a boy with a shock of curly hair and wide, curious eyes, had been playing with his toy cars on the sidewalk when he noticed the bikers assembling. He knew enough from TV and overhearing adults to be wary of the Hells Angels. Most kids in town would have stayed indoors, but Jamie had a keen sense of observation and a strong feeling that something was off. As the bikers started to mount their heavy machines, Jamie ran toward them, waving his small arms. "Wait, don't start your bikes," he shouted, his voice trembling but urgent. The bikers paused, confused, looking down at the boy. One of them, a tall man with a bushy beard and sunglasses, leaned over. "Kid, what's your problem? We're just getting ready for a ride," he said, chuckling. Jamie swallowed hard, trying to sound braver than he felt. There's something on the road, something dangerous. Please don't move." His words were frantic, but there was an undeniable sense of urgency in his tone. Most adults might have dismissed him as an overexcited child, but something in his eyes made the bikers hesitate. Across the street, the crowd of townspeople had stopped to watch. Some whispered nervously about Jamie's boldness. Others rolled their eyes, thinking it was just another kid creating a scene. But in that moment, the rumble of engines stopped entirely. The bikers exchanged puzzled glances. The tall man scratched his beard and said, "All right, kid, show us." Jamie pointed toward the narrow street just beyond the corner. "There, under the bridge. Something's trapped in the rubble from last night's storm. It's going to get hit if you start your bikes." Without waiting, a few bikers dismounted and cautiously approached the spot. The sun reflected off the twisted metal and fallen bricks scattered from a minor landslide. It was only then that the bikers realized Jamie's warning wasn't just a childish imagination, it was real. Beneath the debris, a small puppy was trapped, whimpering softly. Its tiny body trembled with fear. For a moment, silence took over the street. The tough, hardened bikers, men who had faced danger countless times, looked at each other, the gravity of the situation sinking in. It was a small life, but it mattered. Jamie's quick thinking had stopped what could have been a tragic accident. The tall biker knelt beside the boy, patting his shoulder. "You did good, kid. You saved this little guy. Not everyone would have noticed." Jamie's chest swelled with pride, and a smile broke across his face. For a moment, the Hells Angels were not fearsome outsiders. They were ordinary humans, grateful for a child's courage. By the time the puppy was safely pulled from the rubble, the crowd had gathered around, cheering softly. Jamie stood tall, knowing he had made a real difference that day. And as the bikers revved their engines again, this time with caution, everyone in the street understood that bravery sometimes came in the smallest packages. After rescuing the trembling puppy from the rubble, the Hells Angels thought their morning would return to routine. Another ride, another stretch of open road. But Jamie Parker's warning had done more than save a small dog. It had led them to something far bigger, something no one could have anticipated. As the bikers were about to remount their motorcycles, Jamie tugged at the tall man's jacket. "There's more over there behind the bridge. You have to see it," he said, his eyes wide with urgency. The biker exchanged a glance with the others. Curiosity mixed with caution, and slowly the group followed Jamie's small frame across the cracked asphalt. Behind the bridge, hidden beneath a jumble of fallen bricks and twisted metal from the storm last night, lay an old wooden crate. The gang leader kicked it lightly, and a faint sound of movement emerged. Kneeling beside it, Jamie pointed. "It's alive," he exclaimed. With careful hands, the bikers pried open the crate, and what they found left everyone, including the hardened gang members, utterly stunned. Inside were 3 small kittens, shivering and barely able to meow, huddled together for warmth. Dust and debris covered them, and it was clear they had been trapped for hours, maybe even a full day. The bikers looked at each other in disbelief. The rough exterior of men who had faced gunfights, police raids, and high-speed chases could not hide their softening hearts. One of the younger bikers, a man nicknamed Sarge, gently lifted the kittens from the crate. "Kid, you just saved a lot more than this little pup," he said, looking at Jamie with admiration. Jamie beamed, barely containing his excitement. His small act of courage had uncovered a situation that could have ended tragically if ignored. The townspeople who had been watching from a distance now gathered closer, murmuring in surprise and awe. Word spread quickly. A little boy had stopped the infamous Hell's Angels, not with fear, but with bravery and intuition, and in doing so, revealed a secret corner of the storm's destruction. Parents whispered to their children that sometimes courage didn't come from size or strength, it came from caring enough to act. The gang leader, a tall man with a graying beard and a reputation that stretched across state lines, knelt down beside Jamie. "Kid, you've got guts. Most people would have looked the other way, but you saw what mattered. Today you didn't just save animals. You reminded us why we ride carefully, why we notice the little things." Jamie's heart swelled with pride as he realized even the toughest people in town respected him. By the time the sun began its descent, casting long orange shadows across the streets of Arizona, the bikers had not only rescued the animals, but also organized a small team to help clean up the storm's aftermath. Jamie rode along on his little scooter, getting them to other dangerous spots, feeling like a true hero. As the engines roared once again, this time carrying a sense of camaraderie and respect, the townspeople cheered. It was a morning that would be remembered in the small town for years, how a little boy's quick thinking saved lives, and how even the most feared men in the country were reminded that compassion could bridge any gap. Jamie waved at the bikers as they rode past, the rescued animals safely bundled in blankets. And somewhere in his heart, he knew this was only the beginning of adventures that no one in his quiet town would ever forget.